Hello, I want to show you something. What I have here is a certificate of perpetual membership in the Confraternity of the Most Holy Rosary. This was granted by the National Shrine of Our Lady of Good Help. I just signed up for this, and I was blessed that Friar Joseph Aitona, Reverend Joseph Aitona, accepted me into the confraternity. And this is something you might, if you're interested, you can look into what it is. But it's a tremendous blessing. Now I've had in my life, I've had many awards and many certificates, and I haven't gone and shown them off to anybody. I don't have any. I have no awards or no certificates hanging around my office or anything like that. I'm showing you this one because this one is kind of special personally for me. It's this granted membership in the confraternity, and this relates to the miracle story I'm going to tell you right now. This has to do with this story is Saint Lorenzo Ruiz. Okay, Saint Lorenzo Ruiz. This is back in the 17th century. Now, Saint Lorenzo was a young man. He joined a confraternity, and he went on, got married. And by the way, a confraternity is a group of people who pray the Rosary. And if you're at all curious, if you're wondering, if you're interested in it, I would check out. You can look into it and also check out the 15 benefits. You want to talk about miracles? Check out the 15 benefits of the praying the Rosary. Absolutely miraculous, and it's the greatest blessing in my life, and I'll be praying it till the day I die. So anyway, Saint Lorenzo Ruiz joined this confraternity, and it's back in the 17th century. It's an old crime story. Not everyone knows all the details, but he was accused of murder of a Spaniard, and evidently he did or didn't do it. I don't know, but he fled. He fled for the authorities after he was accused of murder, and he ended up joining a ship. He got on a ship, and there were some priests on this ship, and he joined these priests, and on this ship they sailed to Japan. They were missionaries, and they sailed to Japan in the 17th century. It turned out it wasn't a good time to arrive in Japan because they were persecuting Christians. And so now Lorenzo arrives in Japan where they're persecuting Christians, and he spent 2 years in prison there. But after 2 years, they decided, okay, we're going to convince you to renounce your Christianity. And so they essentially, as best as I could tell, they waterboarded him. They forced water down his throat. It was coming out his ears and nose and everything else. And they were trying to force him to give up his faith. But he wouldn't do it. And so, since he was so persistent, in fact, evidently the others, almost all of the others along with him would not give up their faith either. They wouldn't renounce their faith. So then the Japanese escalated, and they said, all right, we're going to hang. They hung Ruiz upside down by his ankles. They hung him upside down by his ankles. And then they just left him there. Now that may be no big deal for the first minute or so, but after 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour or many hours or however long he was up there, it becomes excruciatingly painful, and they slashed his forehead evidently in order to let the blood out, because all the blood otherwise will gather in your head and kill you. And they wanted to keep the torture going longer, so they put a slash in his forehead to let him bleed out slowly and drag out the torture. And at any point, they left one hand free, so that at any point he could have just shaken his hand and been freed and they let him down, and he just has to deny Christ, and they let him free, and then he can go on and like Judas, perhaps, I don't know, go on his way for denying Christ. But he didn't do that. He never denied Christ, and none of the others did, or very few of the others did, evidently. And so they died. St. Lorenzo died, hung upside down as a martyr, which means he suffered for I don't know how many hours or days, but he went to heaven. So that was quite a reward. Now, the miracle here has to do with in 1983, that's like 58 years ago. I'm sorry, that's not 58 years ago. That's 1983, that'd be 17, 30, 37, 39 years ago. I have to do my math, but less than 40 years ago. 22 plus 17 be 22, 32, 39. Sounds like 39 years ago. So 39 years ago, a 2-year-old girl, Allegria Policarpio, suffering from hydrocephalia, a condition she had since birth, was miraculously cured, and this was attributed to an intercession occurring through St. Lorenzo. So if you don't know, Catholics request intercession of the saints. It's no different than if you ask your friend or your mother to pray for you. And we can also ask the saints to pray for us. And since in the Bible it talks about how the righteous Christians' prayers are heard more likely than those who are less righteous, and we know the saints are righteous, so their prayers are heard and answered. When sometimes our prayers may not be heard if we're not doing something, if we're not, let's say, we're living in sin, or we're not as devoted as we should be, or for some other reason our prayers aren't heard. And yet if we turn to intercession through Mary or through St. Lorenzo or one of the other saints, it's possible that prayer could be heard and answered. And that's what happened with this little girl, Allegria Policarpio. Now, if anyone has had a sick daughter or a sick child, that is a massive blessing on that family. And so that is a huge miracle that the request for intercession was put out, asked for through prayer, and Lorenzo responded to it, and the prayer was answered, and that daughter was healed. And we can ask the saints to pray for us. It's no different than asking someone else to pray for us. And so that's the miracle. It's a miracle of intercession. And the power of prayer is tremendous. And there's hundreds and hundreds of saints. For example, I have here, a book with thousands and thousands of saints that answer prayers that can be requested. We can request intercession, and so thank God for Saint Lorenzo and what he did for that little girl. Thanks for watching. God bless.